Yabba-dabba-doo, let's do a review! Okay, this is my review of The Man Called Flintstone. Yeah, so let's see, this is another animated movie from Hanna-Barbera. It's like Hey There, It's Yogi Bear. It's based on based on a famous cartoon series from Hanna-Barbera. Um, I'm not sure how many other Hanna-Barbera movies I'm going to cover because, I mean, like, what other cartoon did they do that was as iconic as Yogi and Flintstones? The only one I can think of is the Jetsons, and there might be a Jetsons movie, but I can't remember. Yeah. I know there's also like I think it was made for TV, but it was like a crossover with the Flintstones and the Jetsons. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, the movie is about Fred Flintstone, who well, it begins with this guy who looks exactly like Fred, who's a secret agent, and he's being hunted by these two goons, and the goons injure him, and he ends up in the hospital. And yeah, after a series of mishaps, Fred kind of ends up in the hospital as well. So yeah, this chief who the secret agent works for finds Fred, and he's like, "Hey, you look exactly like this secret agent." Because like the secret agent is injured, so he's out of commission. But they find Fred, and decide that he can fill in as kind of a double because they need the secret agent, Rock Slag is his name. They need him to get some information because there's this femme fatale character who's willing to give information, or supposedly she's willing to give information that Rock Slag. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, they assign a man who has no experience. He's not. He's just not. What's the word? He's just not the right choice. Well, I mean, yeah, he looks exactly like the secret agent, but yeah, they just out of nowhere assign some guy who has no secret agent experience to go on some dangerous undercover work just because he looks like this secret agent. So yeah, I guess they were in a bit of a pinch. Yeah. So yeah. Oh yeah, and he needs to get information to hunt down this bad guy who they don't know, or yeah, this bad guy called the Green Goose. They don't know what he looks like. They're trying to track him down. But yeah, so with that, they give him, plane tickets and, plane tickets to Paris, because apparently in this prehistoric era, Europe, or Euroc as they call it, is I guess maybe the geography is a little different. Or yeah, the geography was definitely different back in the prehistoric times than they are now. But I suppose maybe Yorick was in a different part of. Well, it's a stupid cartoon, yeah. It's the same reason why they celebrate Christmas, even though Jesus hasn't been born yet. Um, so yeah, they were already planning to go camping, maybe to Jellystone National Park. Stone, emphasis on the stone. Maybe there's a prehistoric version of Yogi there. Nah. But yeah, so Fred shows Wilma and Betty the plane tickets, and they all go to Paris, and then there's kind of a bunch of shenanigans, and soon they find out that the lady that they want Fred to talk to is now in Italy, Rome. So then they go to Rome, and Fred's also getting help from this Master of Disguise type called Triple X, and there's a bunch of mishaps, blah blah blah. Honestly, it seems like kind of a bit of a logical after the Yogi Bear movie had them traveling all across the country, because I guess they never really left Jellystone, although I don't know very much about the show, but the Yogi traveled across the country, so let's have the Flintstones travel across the world, even though they only visit 2 countries in this movie. The problem is there's just so little focus. I remember the Yogi Bear movie had a lot of musical numbers as well, but this one, they really go overboard with them. I guess, there's not that many, and I even say that the songs themselves are pretty nice, but they just all completely interrupt the movie. They have very little to do with what's going on. Whenever a musical number starts, the movie just stops. They just completely interrupt the story, and that gets really annoying after a while. There are 2 completely pointless musical numbers in a row that are both sung by, I'm guessing, Pebbles and Bam Bam. There's a scene where they put them to bed, and then Pebbles just starts singing, and there's this musical number about Dreamland, and then later they do a completely pointless musical number about what they're gonna be like when they grow up, and it just really takes you out of it. And there's so little happening in the movie. A lot of the stuff is just basic Hanna-Barbera shenanigans. The comedy isn't really that funny, and there's just very little going on, very little spy stuff. It gets a little better near the end, but I kind of have a problem with it. But anyway, soon Fred meets with the lady who he has to talk to. Wilma catches him with the lady and thinks he's having an affair. Fred was supposed to keep the lady there before Rock Slag showed up, because he, finally recovered from his injuries. But then when he shows up, he runs into Wilma, Betty, and Barney, and all 3 of them beat him up. So he's out of commission again. So Fred has to get the information from the lady, and he follows her to this secret hideout where supposedly they can talk in private. But yeah, then yeah, turns out the lady's working for the bad guy, Green Goose. Surprise, she looked so trustworthy. Um, and we also find out that the Green Goose is actually Triple X. So yeah, this is probably the first animated movie that has a plot twist villain, even though we do see him as the Gray Ghost, or Gray Ghost, Green Goose. Yeah, we do see him in disguise as the Green Goose before we find out who he really is. But yeah, so yeah, they chase Fred, and yeah, Barney shows up as well because he wanted explanations for what Fred was doing with that other lady, and but yeah, Barney gets mixed up in the whole thing, and so yeah, the bad guys are chasing Fred and Barney across this abandoned amusement park, and then they like hide in this rocket, but it turns out the rocket is the missile that the Green Goose was trying to use to like take over the world or something. So yeah, but there's this switch inside the missile that the Green Goose allows Fred and Barney, like, when Fred and Barney go inside, he's like, oh, well, let's just leave them in there so they can die, basically. But then they, like, find this switch right inside the missile that can, like, redirect it into space. A bit of a design flaw, or like, even if, even if they didn't design it like that, or just the fact that they let the good guys stay in there where they can easily redirect the missile and therefore like pretty much ruin their entire plans. So yeah, kind of stupid. So yeah, but before the missile launches, Fred. Oh yeah, earlier Fred bought this necklace for Wilma because he wanted to, he was worried that he was gonna be in trouble with her, so he bought her this nice little necklace, and but yeah, he never gave it to her because I don't know, he kind of jumped. Yeah, I don't need to go into details, but he never gave it to her, so he like pulls the necklace out and talks about it a bit, and he and Barney talk about how valuable it is, and the Green Goose overhears them, and you think, yeah, so yeah, they talk him into, like, yeah, he offers to let them out if they give him the necklace. So so yeah, they get out of the rocket and give him the necklace, and then yeah, they pull him inside, beat the crap out of him, and yeah, the other bad guys follow him inside as well. They lock him in, and then they're launched into space. So yeah, and yeah. Fred reunites with Wilma, and yeah, and he's a hero, and that's about it. Yeah, this is kind of a dumb movie. Like, I liked the Yogi Bear movie for what it is, even though I acknowledge that one wasn't really the most focused either, but like, I think they really went too far with this one. Like, you take out all of the musical numbers, and maybe it would be slightly longer than an average Flintstones episode, but yeah, it gets pretty entertaining by the end, I think, like, after they're done with all the stupid musical number interruptions. But yeah, I will say I do kind of like the songs themselves. Like, yeah, they have they have very little to do with the movie, but I think pretty much all the songs were nice. And I do like the animation and stuff, like the visuals for like both of the Pebbles and Bam Bam songs. They had some nice visuals, even though they had like nothing to do with the movie. And like by the time both of them played, I was like, oh my god, just get on with the stupid, yeah. But yeah, I can't really say I cared very much for this film, but it had its moments. It's the Flintstones. The Flintstones can be charming characters. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's also worth pointing out that so Paul Frees voices the bad guy, the Green Goose. And June Foray voices the evil femme fatale character. So it's kind of like a reuniting of Boris and Natasha. I mean, granted, Green Goose looks and sounds very little like Boris, but yeah, the femme fatale character, she sounds quite a bit like Natasha. And there was one point where she kind of like compliments his genius, and I'm like, that totally sounds like something Natasha would say to Boris. Yeah, Paul Frees voices several characters in this movie, like one of the evil assistants, and oh yeah, he voices Rock Slag as well. I don't know if he voiced very many characters in the Flintstones cartoon, but it's kind of interesting to see him in this. It's also worth pointing out Harvey Korman. He's this famous comedian who's best known for like his work on the Carol Burnett Show. So originally he did voice the Great Gazoo in the Flintstones cartoon. Thank God he wasn't in this. But he also voices the Chief, who assigns Fred. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. And also, this movie was actually kind of the finale of the Flintstone series, because like the Flintstones ended earlier. Yeah, the Flintstone series ended earlier that same year. So yeah, this movie was kind of like the finale to the show. But yeah, is there anything else I need to talk about? Because I mean, oh yeah, one little thing. Rock Slag gets sexually harassed a lot. It's kind of troubling. Like some random nurses, when they see him or Fred, they're just like, "Oh, Rock Slag," and then they just run up and start kissing him all over. And I guess you could say, what a lucky guy, but let's face it, it's sexual harassment. Let's see. Yeah, there's, as usual, if there's anything else I need to bring up, I'll bring it up in the comments. I have to bring that up every video because, I'm never entirely sure if there might be something I gotta talk about as well that I forgot to bring up in the video. But overall, I guess if you're a big enough fan of the Flintstones, maybe this movie will be worth checking out. But even then, like, all of the musical interruptions and what little's going on throughout the movie, it's like full of so much padding. Like, there's only a Flintstones episode worth of like the main plot, and yeah, it's kind of boring most of the time, honestly. Like I said, it gets better by the end during the climax, but yeah, it's just so slow most of the time. I wouldn't say I dislike it or anything, but it's not exactly a movie I'm gonna say I like in the long run. So I'd say probably my rating for this movie is um, either a 4 or a 5. It's not bad, but it's definitely not good either. So yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards 5, but yeah, I'll give it a 5 just for how entertaining the climax was. But that's about it. I can't say there's much I really enjoyed about this movie. Um, I mean, as usual, Fred and Barney are very likable characters, and there's not a whole lot of personality to Wilma or Betty, but they're. I guess even they have their moments. Maybe I haven't watched enough of the Flintstone series to really get a good idea for everyone's character, but still, it's got a bit of that Flintstones charm, and I can't say I can fault it too much for that. But yeah, I guess that's about all I have to say for now. Anything else, I'll bring it up in the comments if I remember anything else. So yeah, that's about it. Mash it and smash it, signing off.